I have a storage bin that I keep under my bed for clothes that I'll wear again. But as you can see, the cats really love to crawl in here and sleep. So I end up with hair all over the clothes. Let's see if we can build something better. Starting by building a frame, I took some 2x6s, cut 3 pieces to 24 inches in length, and then took those 2x6s to the table saw to square up the edges. These 3 2x6s will build a frame with 2 drawers that are custom built to fit just under the bed. The experimental part of this is building those drawers out of these utility boards that you can get fairly inexpensively at the store. These are solid pine. Most of them are pretty poor quality, but if you dig through them, you can find some nice boards with straight grain and a few knots. I wanted to see if that's a material I could use in future projects. You can see the layout starting to take shape with the 2x6 frame housing 2 of the drawers, and then strips of those utility boards used to hold the frame together. Now the joints for the boxes, I didn't want to do a simple butt joint. I wanted a little bit more surface area. So I'm doing what I'm calling a lazy man's box joint. I'll just cut half of the board away on the bottom of one board and on the top of the other board so they can interlock. Think of it like a box joint with only one finger. And it seemed to work well, gave a lot of gluing surface, and for this purpose it was a good joint. You can see here I'm just removing the excess wood for that finger joint. After that I gave all of the boards a quick sanding, and I cut some Luan plywood for the bottom of the drawers. This is 1/8 inch plywood, and I cut them at 23 inches by 23 inches. Next up was gluing the drawers together. I put glue on all the surfaces that would touch each other with those box joints. Put 4 clamps on each of the fingers to pull it tight. Cleaned up the glue squeeze. Check for square. Put glue on the bottom surface. And then attach the plywood bottom with some brads. Once I had the drawers, I started to work on the frame. The trick here is that I don't have a lot of clearance, so for the bottom of the frame I just used thin plywood to try to save myself some height. And then I packed in the drawers with the slides themselves and attached some strips of the utility board on the top. That's what gives it most of its strength. Once the frame was solid, I started to attach the slides. We attached them to the inner 2x6s with some screws, and then attached them to the drawers with the same screws. Starting to look like some drawers. I didn't really have a plan for the front of these, and I changed plans midstream. I was going to put a faux front on the front of the drawers, but that took a lot of wood and it would have made it too deep for fitting under the bed. So I ended up kind of assembling a frame around the existing wood on the front, as you'll see here, with a long strip across the top and a block on the left and right, and then a long strip across the bottom. This gave the appearance of a planned drawer front, and it also covered up a lot of the seams. Once I finished that, I gave it all a quick sand. Used some gray primer for the body of the drawers. I chose this because we had a lot of gray primer. And then for the front of the drawers, I wanted to do a stain that somewhat matched our bed. So I thinned out some stain with some polyurethane, and it took me about 4 or 5 coats to get a brown that was reddish enough that kind of matched our bed frame. And the final step is just assembly. Put the slides back onto the drawers. Slide them on in. Attach the drawer pulls. I think these are 3.5-inch drawer pulls. And here's the finished product. They slide out nicely. Again, they're custom made, so they're just the right height. I can keep my running clothes and my woodworking clothes free from cat hair. That's it. Hope you enjoyed.